Getting that classic American muscle car sound with a real V8 rumble is still possible for the average person if you're willing to search carefully and think a little outside the usual choices. I set some clear rules for my hunt. Every car had to be from 1981 or earlier. It had to be available with a V8 from the factory, and it needed to regularly sell for under $20,000 in solid driver quality condition. By that, I mean no major rust, decent paint, and a strong, reliable drivetrain. On top of that, each car needed to have some level of aftermarket support. Before we go any further, I want to be clear about expectations. These are not going to be cars like B-body Mopars or 1969 Camaros. At this price point, compromises are unavoidable. With that said, based on those criteria, here are 6 classic muscle cars that still fit the bill. Number 1, the 1973 to 1974 Chevy Nova. The 1973 to 1974 Chevy Nova often gets a lot of criticism, mainly because of the bulky impact bumpers. I'll admit, they don't look nearly as good as the slimmer bumpers on the 1968 to 1972 Novas. However, once you look past that, these cars are almost identical underneath. The chassis is essentially the same, many body panels interchange, and the overall proportions are extremely close to the earlier models. Because the bumpers made them less desirable, prices on the 73 to 74 Novas are much lower than the earlier versions. From the factory, these cars never came with a big block, and the largest engine option was a somewhat restricted 350 small block. That said, rebuilding the engine or swapping in a more aggressive small block is an easy and affordable way to add power. Since these cars share their platform with earlier Novas, most GMX body suspension upgrades still fit. There is plenty of aftermarket support, including suspension kits from Hotchkiss, brake kits from Bayer, and a wide range of other performance parts. If the facelift styling really bothers you, there are countless forum guides showing how owners have backdated the front and rear ends to the 1972 look. Clean, running, V8 powered two-door coupes typically sell in the high teens to around $20,000. While they cost more than the 1975 to 1979 Novas, most enthusiasts agree the 73 to 74 models still hold onto some true muscle car character that later cars lost. They will never be as valuable as the 68 to 72 Novas, and if you're restoring a car purely for investment, the earlier ones make more sense. But for an affordable classic you can drive and enjoy, the 73 and 74 Novas are a smart alternative. Number 2, the 1967 to 1976 Dodge Dart. Modern Dodge Darts may be forgettable, but the original Darts had real personality. The 1967 to 1976 Dodge Dart is boxy, simple, and packed with classic Mopar attitude. While these were entry-level cars when new, they've aged well and remain one of the most affordable ways into the Mopar world. The 1967 to 1969 Darts are the most desirable, as this body style is closely tied to the legendary Hemi Super Stock Darts. Finding a clean V8 powered example under $20,000 is tough, but a well-kept slant 6 car can still be found in the $10,000 to low teens range. Moving up to the 1970 to 1972 Darts, you get the facelift design and the introduction of the popular Dart Swinger. The rounded fenders were replaced with sharper lines, while mechanically the cars stayed almost the same. Factory V8 options included the 318 and 340. A clean, original 340 Swinger under $20,000 is extremely unlikely, but a 318 car, or one that's been swapped with a 340 or 360, is very achievable within budget. The 1973 to 1976 Darts are even cheaper due to impact bumpers. These models were available with a 318, 340, and 360, and a clean 318 power driver can often be found for around $10,000, leaving plenty of room for upgrades. Aftermarket support is still strong, making the Dart a tough-looking and affordable entry into an increasingly expensive Mopar market. Number 3, the 1970 to 1977 Ford Maverick. The Ford Maverick is one of the most overlooked classic muscle-era cars available today. Originally designed as an economy car to replace the Falcon, it has become a hidden gem. It's not uncommon to find a clean V8 swapped Maverick for under $20,000, and with some luck, you can even find a 1970 to 1972 model, which means smaller, more desirable bumpers. You likely won't find a factory 4-speed 302 grabber at this price, but since the Maverick was offered with a V8 from the factory, it still qualifies. With a curb weight of about 2,600 pounds, this is the lightest car on the list. Even a mildly built 302 makes these cars an absolute blast to drive. Aftermarket suspension, brake upgrades, and restoration parts are available, and visually, many people consider this the best-looking option here. Even though Mavericks started life as budget cars, their clean lines and connection to the Maverick grabber give them lasting cool factor and decent long-term value. Number 4, the 1971 to 1974 AMC Javelin. The 1971 to 1974 AMC Javelin might be the most surprising entry on this list. Driver quality examples regularly sell in the mid to high teens, which is impressive given how unique these cars are. You rarely see AMC vehicles on the road anymore, and that alone gives the Javelin instant character. The swooping front fenders and bold styling can be polarizing, but that's exactly what makes them stand out. Factory V8 options included the 304, 360, and 401. A clean 401 car under $20,000 is unlikely, but 304 or 360 powered cars are absolutely attainable. There is aftermarket support for AMC engines, though it's far more limited than what you'll find for GM, Ford, or Chrysler. The same goes for suspension and restoration parts. They exist, but sourcing them takes more effort. Still, once you sit inside and see the wraparound gauge cluster and those wide front fenders stretching out ahead of you, most of those concerns fade away. If you want something affordable and genuinely different, the Javelin deserves serious consideration. Number 5. The 1978 to 1981 Camaro and Firebird. The final years of the second-generation Camaro and Firebird remain surprisingly affordable, especially considering how good they still look. In stock form, these cars were painfully slow, with even Z28S and Trans Ams barely cracking 200 horsepower. Clean, factory 4-speed Z28S and Trans Ams are now well over $20,000, but non-Z28 Camaros and non-Trans AM Firebirds, especially automatics, can still be found in the mid to high teens. Interestingly, many people prefer the cleaner look of the non-Z28 Camaros, which lack the front and rear ground effects. Suspension components are interchangeable across models, and aftermarket support is massive. From reproduction body panels and interior pieces to suspension upgrades and LS swap kits, these cars have endless options. High-dollar restomods are becoming more common, which suggests these cars are entering a new era of appreciation and may continue to rise in value. Number 6. The 1972 to 1976 Ford Torino. Rounding out the list is the 1972 to 1976 Ford Torino, an underappreciated option. While the 1970 to 1971 Torinos are excellent, they're usually priced too high. The later third-generation redesign brought a completely different look that some people love and others need time to warm up to. The sports roof fastback versions look fantastic, but command a premium. A clean 1972 sports roof under $20,000 is tough to find, but the formal roof models can be found in excellent condition well within budget. Engine options included the 302, 351 Cleveland, 400, and 429. Factory 429 cars are rare at this price, but 302 and 351 Cleveland versions are common and capable. The 1972 front end is especially desirable as it was unique to that year. In 1973, impact bumpers arrived, and while the styling took a hit, prices dropped significantly. That makes a 1973 sports roof Torino a real bargain, often leaving money left over for improvements. Parts are available, but not in the same abundance as Camaros or Mustangs, so buying the cleanest example possible is the best approach. Those are 6 muscle cars that can still be purchased under $20,000, ready to enjoy as weekend cruisers. They aren't holy grail collectibles, and they never will be, but they represent the perfect balance between classic muscle and real-world affordability. And before anyone brings it up, yes, you can find a clean mid-1970s C3 Corvette for under $20,000. I considered including it, but I ultimately left it out because it doesn't quite fit the traditional muscle car definition. That said, it still earns an honorable mention. If you enjoyed this video, like and share this video with other car enthusiasts. Don't forget to subscribe to Crypt for more documentary-style videos.